Good morning and welcome to Order Up, the Final Order Cutoff show. Today we're going to be talking about the comics that are on Final Order Cutoff this Monday, April 13th. A lot of great books, a ton of amazing covers, and one book I cannot wait to introduce you to the writer of. So stay tuned for all that and more after this. Hi everyone, I'm Mathias Lewis, and I'm here to talk to you about FOC, or Final Order Cutoff. It is the last chance that we, the comic retailers, have to finalize our orders for comics releasing roughly 3 to 6 weeks out from the Mondays we finalize our orders. We deal with this every Monday, but this is important to you, the consumer, because it is the perfect time to reach out to your local comic shop if you want any specific or guaranteed items. If you want the Jim Lee or Dan Mora covers of Justice League Unlimited, reach out to your local comic shop and let us know. If you want the new issue of Lilo and Stitch, this is the perfect time to tell us. Because as long as you can get us the orders before Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that will give your local comic shop retailer enough time to finalize that order, adding in whatever it is you want, so they can guarantee when it releases, we have a copy set aside waiting for you. So, always reach out to your local comic shop before 6 p.m. on Mondays with the comics you want. The sooner, the better, to guarantee they're waiting for you. All right, and this week we're talking about the comics that are on Final Order Cutoff Monday, April 13th, 2026. Got some fun ones to talk about this week.
The fact that we're already talking about Monday, April 13th has got me totally wigging out, bro.
And why is that?
It just feels like we were talking about the first week of January like 3 days ago.
It has been a fast-paced week. And you know, the craziest part is these are books that will be releasing after Free Comic Book Day this year. We're already that deep into the year.
Yeah, it's wild. We had to have that conversation about one of these books this week where we were going, oh, hey, that means we'll have that book by Free Comic Book Day. No, this is the week after. Oh, really? Anyway, you know, the year is flying by.
It truly is. But I mean, it's kind of crazy because while there hasn't been a ton of new books out in 2026, it doesn't feel like the girth of books that hit us in 2025. There have been some major hits in that small amount. Like, I want to say it gives the percentage of success to such an unbelievable level that, you know, 2026 feels like a good year for comics.
Well, and there have been a lot of number ones. Like, let's not diminish that. But the amount of number ones that have risen to that, again, absolute anything, ultimate anything, Dork, Tigress Island, you know, that level has been minuscule. And I'm finally happy to see last week, see a Marvel book kind of start to hit that number with Stephanie Phillips' Daredevil. Like, okay, finally, we have a good Daredevil. Now can we get, you know, a good literally anybody else?
Well, we'll talk about a few of those momentarily. All right. So on that note, I suppose we should remind everyone where they can look over all these comics on Final Order Cutoff when they don't want to just look at our talking heads. So there are two key websites where you can see everything that's on FOC this Monday, April 13th. And if you're a fan of Marvel, IDW, Dark Horse, Boom Studios, Ignition Press, Distillery, Kodansha, Square Enix, 7 Seas, and more, you're going to want to check out prhcomics.com. It is the home of Penguin Random House, one of the largest book distributors in the world, and the distributor for all those comics I mentioned and more. Going to prhcomics.com, you'll see this fancy little website here, right there, right above me and Kyle's head. It says FOC April 13th, 2026. There it is. You click that, and you get this beautiful page that we always like to sort A to Z to see all of their books on FOC this week. But say you're somebody who's like, I want my DC, I want my Image Comics, my Oni Press, my Dynamite, and more. Don't worry, there's a site for you. Lunar Distribution handles all those publishers and more. So going to lunardistribution.com, you'll see this wonderful website right here. You simply scroll on down to upcoming FOC, make sure you're on the right date, April 13th, and you can see all of their wonderful offerings. I want to remind everyone this isn't the exclusive distributor for all of this now as we're seeing more, but these are the 2 best websites to find all of your comics that are on FOC each Monday. So with that said, I personally like starting over at Penguin Random House. I think that just is a nice, quick, and fun venture. We already have it sorted A to Z, like I said. So as long as there's no resistance from you on this, Kyle, do you want to dive in?
The reason to start at Lunar this week would be because there's only like 9 books over there, because most of those books have 7 million covers.
Yes, that is very true. But all the good reason to end on it. And then we also have a special guest who has a book or has a couple books over at Lunar. So let's stall for him.
Sure.
All right. So we'll start it off. Every week, I feel like it's a fight to do what we do every week. Do we start at PRH? I love talking with Kyle for this reason. He keeps me on my toes. All right, guys, let's start it off with a number of great continuing items, collections, trade paperbacks, single issues, and more for series you already more than know about. Therefore, we got to bring up the big one you might be missing out on. Right now, The Amazing Spider-Man and Venom are in an epic crossover called Death Spiral. And Torment, our horrifying villain, as you can see on the number of great covers here, is destroying the lives of Mary Jane and Peter Parker, not to mention Eddie Brock. So, who is the man that's doing it, that killed off a key character in just an issue ago of Venom? Well, to find that out, you're going to want to grab this one-shot, Amazing Spider-Man Venom Death Spiral Body Count. It feels like they were going for that light novel length title. But this is going to give us the origin of Torment, as you can see here. The big new villain that is causing all the mayhem and death. Charles Soule writing, Kev Walker doing art, 1.5 million covers, because that seems to be the theme of this week's FOC. This is going to be a key moment for those of you guys who have been following along in this event or want to dive in. Then, for something completely different, because that's Kyle's favorite way for me to ever,
something completely different.
How about a unique and goofy manga? The babe at my back has her eye on me. I'm done for. Volume 1. It is a new manga from 7 Seas about a nerdy young boy who sits right in front of the hot, cool girl in school that never gives a moment of her time to any guy in the class or school. She is that awesome, popular girl everyone wants. And when she falls in a ditch, our protagonist goes to save her. The question becomes, now that the attention is on him from this lovely young girl, is it because he was her knight in shining armor, or is it all a ruse to make fun of the nerdy guy in school? Fun and interesting twist for a new manga series. You can imagine 7 Seas being a what is the rating on this one? A teen plus. It's going to be a little mature, but it has room to be fun. Yeah, a little spicy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Whoops. Let's get rid of that tab. A lot of great continuing manga comics like Black Cat. I've been loving these Magic the Gathering covers because, well, Magic the Gathering fans may not have the highest opinion of the recent Spider-Man set. Comic fans have to recognize this was some stunningly beautiful, beautiful artwork. And the fact that we can get those card art variants or even the Virgin artwork, if you can get your store to order high enough on those books, and they're not going to be cheap books, it's beautiful to look at. But
I don't love that Black Cat is like a black dredge card, but also like a library peeker. Like, anyway, I really like this idea that they're doing this. I just wish they were doing less of them.
Yeah, it seems like they're at this point going to put out every card in the set over the next month or two of comics.
Right. It was cool when it was, oh, we're just doing the Spider-Man one. Oh, we're just doing a couple. Oh, we're just going to do like the mythic rares, but now it's like the whole set. And it's just like, come on. You're taking this cool thing that would have been like niche and awesome and, well, for lack of a better word, beating a dead horse. Or because it's Spider-Man, beating a dead Gwen Stacy.
Oh, wow.
Too soon?
Wow. That's all I got out of me.
Too soon?
Wow. All right, man. Now I got to transition off of that. Really hard. So Captain America, as we enter the last war. Yes, Dr. Doom's ultimate weapon has been found. There's no hiding it from the Red Hulk and the U.S. government. How does Captain America deal with this? It is a tale of two Caps. We get both Sam Wilson and Steve Rogers in this. Chip Zdarsky has been just blowing this book up. And speaking of Magic the Gathering covers, the incredible E.M. Gist has his With Great Power card. And it really does apply, in my opinion, to this story of comes great responsibility for Captain America to deal with this ultimate Dr. Doom weapon. But
yeah, I'm very excited for this Armageddon assembled part of this story. Especially because, and we'll talk about one of the covers later on in the show that is really queuing up something that I think is a great Captain America stand to take in current times, right? Like, not to get political, but like there's some stuff that happens in the world now that Captain America would be the perfect person to be like, you know what? Maybe not. And it feels like that's what Chip is doing with this Armageddon assembled kind of story arc, right? He's kind of bringing everybody down to reality Earth level.
Absolutely. And I mean, I got to point out the other theme of Marvel variants that are coming out in May. It is the anniversary of Civil War. It's crazy to think it's been 20 years since Marvel Civil War. So not only do we get the Magic covers, we get the Civil War homages as well. But, well, it'd be fun to talk the politics ever of Captain America and Superman leading our countries, and probably also great why they are not, because they are these wonderful heroes since they don't have to take that role. I want to talk about our incredible guest, and to do that, I want to paraphrase a leader of our world. So to introduce our guest, I want to paraphrase from a simple yet famous Kentucky-born lawyer. At what point, then, is the approach of danger to be expected? I answer, if ever our guest were to reach us, he must spring up amongst us with his new comic.
Oh, that was your introduction?
Yeah. It's me.
The comic is... Oh, do we...
That's me again.
Yeah.
That comic is If Destruction Be Our Lot. Did that work?
Yes, there. Yeah, we got there in the end.
I did it.
Well, then you must be the author and its finisher.
Oh, was I supposed to say that?
No. I just was really throwing it. I mean, I'm sorry. I really, really love the wonderful Lyceum address.
Yes. So
the fact that you pulled that in to a comic title is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, it's a hell of a speech. It's terrifyingly prescient and on the nose today, but it is also really inspiring and wonderful. Turns out Abraham Lincoln, pretty good at talking.
Yeah.
Who knew?
So let me do a little bit better and now properly introduce the writer of Uncanny X-Men, the Joker, DC versus Vampire, Punisher, Wildcats, everything big, but my favorite being his big indie stuff of We're Taking Everyone Down With Us. What's the furthest place from here? We Can Never Go Home. 4 kids walk into a bank, and more words than should ever be in the title of any comic. The incredible Matthew Rosenberg.
That's me. That was good. That was I feel, yeah. When I'm following Abraham Lincoln, I feel a little self-conscious, but when you're just talking about my stuff, I feel like I can hang. I feel like I can handle that.
So was it simply that you have done enough independent comics that start up with titles like Fourscore and 7 years ago, or like that you decided you had to finally lean into Lincoln?
No, what's funny is that we actually on this book went back and forth on whether or not to use a Lincoln quote. The animatronic Abraham Lincoln is the protagonist of our book, and we were trying to figure out if it's too on the nose, and we had a bunch of other ideas that some of which I really love, and I can't spoil because actually one of them we may end up using in a fun way, but at a certain point, I had to admit that Lincoln was going to have come up with better things to say than almost anyone I could think of, and so I relented and we went with the Lincoln quote. And yeah, people who get the reference and understand it really dig it, and people who do not seem very confused by the title of our book, which is fine. It all becomes explained in the first issue.
All right. Well, so for those who are a little confused, can you give us the quick pitch of If Destruction Be Our Lot?
Yes. If Destruction Be Our Lot is the story of a world where humanity has gone extinct and robots have inherited the earth, and they are very happy now that we're gone. They go about their day doing their tasks. The bus robot drives its bus route. The breakfast robot makes breakfast. The skyscraper robot builds skyscrapers. There's just no one to ride the bus, eat the breakfast, or live in the skyscrapers anymore. But one robot, the animatronic Abraham Lincoln, who's escaped from a theme park, is not happy. He thinks that there must be some purpose to his being here, and there must be some greater reason he exists. And so this is the story of him trying to find that purpose, trying to make a friend, and maybe accidentally save the world in the process.
I like it. And the crazy part is this very interesting concept is not a mini series. It's an ongoing, correct?
It is an ongoing series. Yeah, there's a type of book that I really love that we don't make as much anymore, but there used to be these books. I'm thinking about like Concrete and Elf Quest and Love and Rockets and a bunch of books like that, where you'd meet a character in this crazy world and sort of fall in love with them, and they have a mission, they have a purpose, and this book definitely has a purpose, and it has an ending, it has a place we're going, and I know the final issue of this book like the back of my hand, but part of the book is that you go on a journey with them, and it's just they're just constantly gonna meet wild characters, other wild characters, and explore a world, and it's going to be interesting, and you just show up every month to sort of be on this odyssey, and we don't do that as much in comics anymore, and I really miss that idea. And so we wanted to do that. We wanted to make this big sprawling world full of crazy characters and fun side quests and weird ideas, and really explore a lot of the things that are on our minds. So we've been working on the book for a really long time. Actually, Andy McDonald, who draws the book, is currently drawing issue 11, and I am currently writing issue 13. So we're into the 3rd trade paperback.
That's crazy. So you guys are not going to miss a beat on releases with that.
If the book is late, it is because the world has run out of paper, or the UPS has run out of gas to pick up the books from the printer and bring them to your shop. No, we're pretty far ahead, for sure.
All right. So the basic gist, again, we have a world without humans.
Mhm.
Robots reign supreme, doing mundane tasks that they were built for, but not having much more. And the question becomes, what's much more? The question I have, though, in this scenario is, what happened to humans? Because I feel you had another really great Abraham Lincoln hidden concept in how long ago humans disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
It might be some Civil War-esque speech of time.
Yeah, there's an allusion to the fact that humans may have been gone for 87 years, which, if you're a Lincoln buff, may mean something. What happened to humans is also an idea that is at the core of the book. It's a little bit of a mystery. It's a little bit of a it's a little bit of a mystery, and it's a little bit surreal because mostly the robots don't care. Some of them don't remember the humans because they were either made after humans or they've been upgraded and had files erased and had memories erased. Some of them do seem to remember the humans and don't think fondly of them, but that's all Abe knows. Abe just knows that there was once a time when there was humans, and to him it's very difficult because he's the only robot that looks like a human. He's the only robot who is in our image exactly, and was built in our image, and the other robots don't really like him. And he doesn't know if that's the reason or why. So a lot of the story is going to be about unraveling what happened to the humans and how they went extinct and what it means if you're a person whose job it is to educate and entertain humans, or a robot whose job it is to do that, I should say.
So one of the things I will say, having read the first issue, that I love about this book is, despite there being a complete lack of humanity in it, there is so much humanity and emotion in this. Every time I fall in love with a robot, you decide, but you know what? I need to make Mathias cry.
I've been getting this a lot this week because people finally read the book. A lot of people really like the breakfast robot, who we nicknamed Toasty, in our production, and a lot of people like the bus. And yeah, there's a lot of robots. We, the early challenge early on, my brother Mark and who I co-write with, and Andy, who draws the book, we had this idea that all the robots would sort of share an intelligence, that they would all be linked and network together, and they'd all be kind of one robot. And we started making the book with that idea. And then we realized that then there's only two characters in the book. There's Lincoln, and then there's everyone else. It's sort of Lincoln and God. And God is in your street light and your garbage can and your bus and everything else. And we realized that that's not maybe necessarily the best story. And so I said they should all be different. They're all autonomous. They're all unique in their own versions of a robot. And from there, the idea just spun out that like Andy was doing these designs that were very charming and lovable. He's a robot designing genius. And we just started finding that they had their own personalities and voices that developed, and they really became a cast that's very lovable. And so yeah, I'm very happy with. It's very scary to make a project where you're like, well, there's not really a lot of people in this one, or is anyone going to like them? But the response so far has been that people very much like the robots as much as we do, which, in some ways makes sense to me. I think about, like, the Pixar idea of, you just take a thing that doesn't have a personality and you give it one, and people will fall in love with it. And it can be a fish, or not that fish don't have personalities, but it could, you fish or a car or a toy or whatever it is. Like, we as people are looking for ways to empathize with things. We are looking to fall in love and make connections in the world, which is good for us in the storytelling department, but also is a major theme of the book, that we've been divided too much and we're separated from people, and it's too hard to make a connection, and it's too hard to bond with people and make friends, and there's just too much loneliness. We're being sold loneliness all the time, and Abe is pushing it back against that.
I like that. Yeah. And I mean, for anyone who's looking for something absolutely amazing, this is like watching the first episode of Game of Thrones, where a kid gets pushed out a window. No one is safe in Matthew's books. Yeah. And this is definitely that. But one of the things I also love about Matthew, and the reason why everyone should always pay attention to anything he puts out, is there is no one more human in comics in trying to constantly promote and push comics to readers and help retailers. As this former retailer himself, this is one of the wonderful things that you did. You sent a large number of retailers these awesome little pitch strips, which I am giving an edited version so everyone can see parts of this and enjoy this amusing comic that you and Andy and I assume your brother put together to sell the book to people who sell books.
Yeah, and we had a friendly public domain mouse come in and help us with the pitch, as you see there. Yeah, I like you said, I worked in a shop, and I understand. I understand the shop perspective of I never. You guys pay for the books, like you buy them with your money. I don't take that lightly, but I also understand that you're asking customers to do the same. And I've been the broke kid who's like, well, I have $6, so what are the 2 books I'm buying this week? Or what is I have $10, what should I get at the comic shop? And so I don't ever take it lightly that people are spending money on these books, and people we're asking people to lay down a few dollars on a comic. And so I want customers to know what it is, and I want retailers to have an idea that they can talk to them and share that information. I think that's really important. And yeah, anything I can do to help a shop sell the book, and anything I can do to help a person help answer questions for people about the books, and get them excited as we are about making them.
Yeah,
I mean, quickly want to shout out Matt Rosenberg for making sure retailers get fed. Every year at Comics Pro, the last few years at Comics Pro, he's been part of a party where they have the food that comic retailers want to eat, not the fancy food that people think we want to eat. So, we go there and it's chicken on a stick and mozzarella sticks and churros.
Everybody loves the mozzarella sticks. The mozzarella sticks are a surprise, or like, it's not surprising. I had mozzarella sticks last night. They're wonderful, but we myself and James Tynan like to throw a party every year for comics retailers. And I think a lot of this industry, there's a lot of times in this industry where people are trying to sell people things, and it makes sense. It's a business. I went to James with the idea that I was like, hey, can we just have a party where we're not trying to do that? Can we just throw a party as a, like, hey, we should all be talking and connecting and have a social connection? And so that's the party we have every year at Comics Pro. We invite a lot of comic creators. We invite all the retailers to come out, and no one gets on stage with a microphone and says, hey, my new book is on FOC. We just say, hey, what have you been watching on TV lately? What have you been reading? How's your family? That kind of thing. So, and we do it over chicken fingers, which is great. So,
well, and that was when I got to read this book for the first time. Is I'm sitting at a table, and there are several like high up people from other publishers sitting at the table that I should be talking to, and I'm in the corner with a meatball and a soda and If Destruction Be Our Lot, and people are like, what are you doing? I go, I'm reading comics. What do you expect me to do?
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's fair. Thank you. Thank you. That was very kind of you to say. And I was very late to my party this year, which I felt bad about, but I was having drinks with Todd McFarlane.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that in a moment.
Sure.
But first, it's the big thing I want to emphasize. So on FOC this week is If Destruction Be Our Lot. It releases the Wednesday after New Comic Book Day, May 6th.
Yes.
This is something that I truly believe should be in any indie comic fans' pull blocks, subscriptions, whatever your local comic shop calls it. And if you're a local comic shop, you should be reaching out to Matthew, because he is very open on willingness to help get this into people's hands. Whatever, I mean, as you constantly say, whatever you can do to help.
Yeah.
This is a truly amazing book. But Matthew isn't the only person behind this. So you need to be getting this book, not just because of Matthew, but you have an incredible co-author and artist on this. Can you talk a little bit about your co-creators?
Yeah. So it is co-written with my brother Mark, who, this is his first comic, but he is a screenwriter and director by trade. And so when we started making this book a long time ago, we knew we wanted to work together, and he really wanted to make a movie, and I really wanted to make a comic, because comics are better than movies. And so we fought a lot. We went back and forth, and somehow I won, which is a nice feeling because he's my older brother, so I don't get the wins as much as I would like. And here we are, and it's been awesome to work with him and write with him. We're very close, but he's very different than me. He has a sort of very different. I said this, and he got offended, and he was like, "We're not so different." And I was like, "Well, we don't like the same movies, TV shows. We don't have the same hobbies. We don't have the same interest in books. We don't like the same food or music. So like those are differences." And he was like, "Well, yeah, I guess that's right." But but it's very fun because the places we do connect and the places we do share a thread, I think, really shine in the book. And it also means that the things that we don't agree on, since we're brothers, we're okay sort of brawling, via phone and email to make sure the best idea wins. And it means that like everything in this book is very tested, because if he doesn't like it, I have to sell him why it's the best idea for the book, and vice versa. And then our partner on the book is the amazing Andy McDonald, who I did Multiple Man with at Image, but he's done, Doctor Strange and Wonder Woman and The Flash and that.
Yeah.
And,
sorry, my favorite Andy McDonald book.
There you go. Everyone's got a favorite. He did the amazing NYC Mech at Image years ago, and all that rules. And he's a genius. He's truly one of the kindest people I know, one of the best collaborators I've ever met or heard of. And he's just a ton of fun, and I love his art, and he's really leveling up on this book and doing things that Andy had a great thing that he said to us very early on in the book. He said so many comics, they put everything into the first issue. They try to make the first issue as exciting as they can. And he said, and so the big ideas are there, the best art is there, the best moments are in the first issue. And he said, and then what happens is that your book just gets less and less exciting as it goes. And he said, let's do everything in our power not to do that. And if it means that we're holding things back from the first issue, like, so be it. But we want people who like the book to think the second issue is even better and the third issue is even better. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. That's our mandate. And I think we in the writing side have really stuck to that as the book goes, it's going to take you places you do not expect and show you things you do not expect. And it's funnier and it's sadder and it's sweeter and it's more exciting. But Andy and Francesco Scala, our colorist, have lived and breathed that idea. So by issue 3 and issue 4 of this book, those guys are operating on a level that is unbelievable, that I show it to my friends who are artists, and they're just like, I can't believe that this is what this book looks like. They are, entering the rarefied Jeff Darrow territory of just detail and so much stuff on a page and so much crazy design and weirdness that you just want to study it and fall into it. And I love it. I love that they're giving it their all. And you can tell they're, the number one, when I share some of the stuff from the later issues with other artists, the number one thing I hear back is like, how long did he spend on this page? That's all. People are just like, that looks like it was a week. Like, it looks like, and I'm like, yeah, he's a maniac. It's
also he's 11 issues in.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of it, is that, early on in the production, I told my brother, like, well, this is how we make books. And I saw the terror creep into his face when I was like, yeah, you're writing the fourth one as the first one comes out. And my brother, like I said, is a filmmaker by trade. And so he has one of the best brains I've ever heard of for big ideas and stories and themes and seeing the whole picture. And I realized early on that making a comic in the traditional Western comic way of sort of laying down the track as the train is in motion did not take the best advantage of his skill set. And so I said, all right, it's gonna not be a great time for my bank account, but let's just take the time to make this book slowly and bank a lot of it. And in doing that, it also allowed us to go back and change things in the first issues. When a character pops up in issue 8 that we liked, we're like, actually, we should have a scene with them in issue 2. We can go back and do that, which is not a luxury you have. But it also meant that Andy and Francesco and everyone had the time to be like, I'm going to take 2 or 3 days on this splash page, and you're like, okay, it's not. The dark secret about comics is that a lot of the things on the page are decisions made by deadlines, not decisions made by creativity. And we are doing our best to get rid of that idea. And yeah, it's been great. It's been a great process.
Yeah. And one thing I really want to point out in the confidence of you putting out this book, of why this needs to be picked up by everyone, why this is a good book. Yeah, I mean, you, aside from the fact that you've been doing podcast after podcast over the past few weeks, that you were putting everything in, offering it all on the table for everyone. A lot of Image comic books, creators put forth their faith of their hard work and everything, hoping to make money on the back end. You went above and beyond. I've heard that Andy's already been paid up for a year's worth of work, right?
I mean, more than a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
I pay the team. Yeah.
Yeah, you take care of everyone, which is, and as you said, a strain on your bank account, but an amazing amount of confidence that you have faith in what you're putting out. And
Yeah.
I think that's a huge thing that fans should respond to. Of, it's not something that's just being put out to be put out. You care about this, and you're showing it at every step.
Yeah, I think people don't. Image is the greatest partner you can have in making art. I honestly believe that Image is not in comics, but in film and television and in music and in traditional book publishing. Like, there's no greater partner you can have than Image. But the one thing about Image that trips people up is that they don't tend to pay to create the books. They don't pay the creative team. The money is yours when the book comes out. They're not a bank giving out loans. They are a platform letting you be your artistic self. And so creators take a risk. If no one shows up to buy the book, it's possible you don't get paid for your work for a while, which is possible here for sure. I hope not the case, but it means that again, it's that idea of rushing. Like, you don't want to have 7 or 8 issues done, because that means you've been working for 10 or 12 months with no one getting paid. I wanted to make the book this way because I think it's a better way to make books, and I think it's a more it's healthier for the team, and I think it's better for the end product, and it's an experiment. There are other people who do it. I know that Robert Kirkman does stuff like this a lot, and Rick Remender does stuff like this a lot, and I love their work. So obviously it was not hard to be like, what are people who I look up to, who I respect, doing? I want to do that. And I don't yeah, so yeah, everyone gets paid, and I'm the last person to get paid or not get paid, which is fine too. I make money. I make money writing other books, so it's fine if this loses money. It's a thing I love and want to exist, and I want it to exist in the best possible way. And it's I'm not a good businessman. I don't make smart economic decisions, but I feel like I make decisions that are very true to the things I make and the things I want to make, and my vision for a thing. And so that's it. And I hope the audience doesn't really think about that or care. I don't want people to be like, oh, I hope Matt makes money on this. But I hope they, in some way, that translates onto the page. I hope they see that everyone is comfortable. Everyone who makes this, no one is worried about where they're gonna eat or what happens if they get the flu for a week. Like, that's not a concern on my books, and that's a nice feeling.
Well, and I think that's the key I want to emphasize, is the passion. That, you know, some people work for the big companies and it's a paycheck like any other day job.
Sure.
Some people, when it comes to Image, generally you do that because of passion. You're putting that risk out there. But I feel it's worth emphasizing why you find so many great Image comics out there, because they are passion projects driven by creators' desires of what they want to make, that you went even above and beyond, and you put the risk on yourself to make this passion project that you care about truly work under the rules you want it to work under.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great way of putting it. Like, I think that's a perfect way to put it, is that I think that there are not a lot. Making a comic is very hard, and the risk reward is not the best. So if you're not, I find that the people I meet who are not passionate about comics but just want to get something out there, they don't stick around very long. The money's not good enough compared to the work. You can make money other ways. You can go work in a bank or whatever. But so I feel like there's a lot of passion in this industry, which is great. But Image is definitely the place where every book you see is someone's dream project. Always. Like the number that aren't someone being like, this is something that's very important to me. You get up on that stage. It's the biggest indie stage in comics. It is the place where no one is telling you what to do. That's the dream of Image. That's the dream of the founders that they've carried on, is that like, this is a place where artists do exactly what they want. And that's true today as it was then. And if you get on that stage and aren't doing your best work and the thing you care most about, like, you're screwing up. And I don't think people are doing that. I think everyone is gets on there and swings for the fences with their books, and it's awesome. It's the kind. I mean, Image is my favorite publisher, and they publish a ton of my favorite books and always have. And so it's not just as a creator is it great to stand with all these other books and be surrounded by these other creators who I respect, but also as a as a fan, it's just cool to just be like, I go into the shop sometimes and I'm like, oh, new Image #1. I don't know what this is. It's going to be worth my $4 or $5. I know that. And I'll just buy them.
All right. So on that note, perfect time to transition. You have another Image book on FOC this week. It's probably one no one's ever heard of. I heard you really went out of your way to help out this poor Image founder who just needed some support and a spotlight thrown on him. So you're going to be taking over with a short backup in this issue. Spawn?
It's called Spawn. It's a new book. I don't know if people missed the previous 374 issues, but you can pick them up in collections. I'm a compendium guy, but your mileage may vary. You might like the big hardcovers. You might try and track down the single issues. Yes, starting in issue 375 of Spawn, which is on FOC now, as the reason we're here. The main story wraps up. Todd McFarlane, creator of Spawn, founder of Image, maybe greatest living comic creator. Todd and Brett Booth are wrapping up their story, and they generously let us have 5 pages in the back, myself and Steven Segovia, to set up what is coming for Spawn and King Spawn, the 2 books I am taking over in May and June. So it's a big sea change. It is a giant shift in the Spawn universe and the power structure, and it is a big jumping on point if you're a Spawn curious or a lapsed Spawn reader. We're doing everything to make it easy for you to come on in and know what's going on. And if you're a longtime fan, I will assure everyone, it is not a reboot. It is not a retcon. I'm a huge Spawn fan. This is a love letter to everything that's come before. And it's just, I think if you're a longtime Spawn fan, you know that once every, I don't want to say few years because it's more than that, but every once in a while, something comes along and just shakes the hell out of the Spawn universe. And that's what we're doing. We are drastically changing a lot of stuff in a big way. And it starts with a tiny story in the back of 375. First appearance of a character who is going to be a main character going forward in both Spawn and King Spawn.
So 375, big one for everyone to pay attention to, because not only is it the start of your storytelling and the end of Todd's big event,
yes,
it's a first appearance.
Yeah, it's a first appearance of a young kid. It's a teenager who lives in the Bowery in New York. Obviously, Spawn heads are going to be excited that I mentioned the Bowery. He's from the Bowery, which is a neighborhood. I'm from New York, so it's a neighborhood that it's a part of town I grew up hanging out in a lot when I was a kid. So I have a real soft spot for the Bowery. And he's a young kid in the Bowery who gets drawn into, he knows nothing about Spawn or any of that, and he is pulled into the world of Spawn in a terrifying way. And then that's the 5-page backup. And then starting a few weeks later in King Spawn 55, we do a 1-year time jump. There's a 1-year time jump in Spawn and King Spawn. So Spawn has gone missing. Some people think he's dead. Some people think he never existed, that he was a myth, and no one knows where he is. And this young man, Hudson, has had a very rough year, and is trying to find Spawn because he thinks he is connected to the end of the world. He thinks that Spawn is going to bring about the end of the world, and he's going to try and find him. So Hudson is a main character in King Spawn and Spawn going forward. But yeah, in that time jump, the world has changed dramatically, and it's going to be a very different looking and feeling book than you're used to. I mean, I can just talk about it, I guess. There's a safe space. I trust everyone in here. Basically, for the entire history of Spawn and the entire history of Earth before the book started, the planet has been a battleground for heaven and hell. They are fighting over control of the souls of humanity. And Spawn has been a soldier in the war between heaven and hell. Sometimes he switches sides. Sometimes he's a freelancer. Sometimes he's on, he can be on either side from time to time. Sometimes he's against both sides. The war is over. Heaven and hell are gone. They have reached a truce and abandoned Earth. And Spawn in that has vanished as well. And what one would assume when this war ends, that we are in a time of peace and prosperity, that is not the case. The world is in shambles from the absence of heaven and hell. People's faith has been challenged. People who had no faith have found themselves reeling from the revelations that heaven and hell were real and that they no longer have any impact on the world. The moral fabric of the world has crumbled. The economic fabric of the world has crumbled. Depression and addiction have skyrocketed. Crime is skyrocketing. So the world is in a very bad place. And there's no Spawn to help us because he thinks the war is over. And so this is the story of, there's a year time jump and a lot happens in that year. And so not only is the story going to be going forward, and all the new readers who've never read Spawn are going to go in with the same amount of knowledge now as people who've read all 375 issues, but we're going to slowly fill in what happened in that year and explain some things and bring out some familiar faces and bring out some characters slowly who people will know if they're fans and will be introduced to if they're not. So yeah, it's a big, ambitious thing. It's the biggest, most ambitious project I've ever worked on, actually, and it's very fun. It's big and bombastic, and I said to someone, I talked about it, and I said, it's got all these things. I think it's relevant to the people. We're doing some of the world outside your window stuff that I think is Stan's idea, but I think you see really well in the Absolute universe. And I said, and we're doing big and bombastic, and we're doing a lot of nostalgia, but with a twist and a throwback and a love letter to what came before, but in a fresh way. And someone was like, so it's Absolute, you're doing the Absolute version. And I smiled because like that, I love those books, and that's a good take that we're doing the Absolute version of Spawn. But I would be remiss if I didn't point out that all those ideas I think are built into Spawn first. That I think, and I think if you asked Scott and Jason and Nick and Kelly about a lot of it, I would think they would say that Spawn is an inspiration for what they do, and it's big, bombastic, and it's personal, and it's relevant, and it's topical, and it's a throwback, and it's something new and fresh. And so we're doing all of that, and so it's not a reboot, but it is going to feel different.
I like it. So Spawn officially it's taken over by Matthew and Steven Segovia with Spawn 376, which FOC's May 11th and drops on June 3rd, a week after his King Spawn 55, which drops May 27th and FOC's May 4th. So you have time. Reach out to your local comic shop. Even if you've never read Spawn before, now's the time to hop on, and you can FOC 375 to get that key first appearance in the start of it all this Monday.
Yes.
So I got one big question for you.
Uh-oh.
As somebody who has to deal with the solicitations in FOC week after week, originally these issues were listed as Todd McFarlane and Brett Booth, and they all had to be changed
Yes.
Was this an intended surprise, or what was the story on that?
Yes. They wanted to have the reveal that me and Steven on Spawn and me and Thomas on King Spawn, they wanted to hold it and not and let it go off right before the books came out. They wanted to wait as long as we could before we announced anything because they thought that would have maximum impact. And so yeah, there were dummy solicits that went out, which was nerve-wracking because I kept seeing them pop up and be like, did I get fired, guys? And they're like, no, it's gonna be you, it's gonna be your book, it's gonna be your ideas. So yeah, it's we wanted to surprise people. I think we did a good job, but the reaction on my end has been like you said, I brought back Jean Grey, I've written the Punisher, I wrote Uncanny X-Men and killed all of them, I've written the Joker, I brought back Wildcats. This reaction has probably been the craziest of my career. People are freaking out about Spawn, as they should be. So credit to Todd. Todd understands the market and how to sell a book better than anyone I've ever seen. And do you just trust Todd when he goes, "Oh, we're gonna wait"? And I'm like, "Well, the solicit's going live," and he goes, "We're gonna wait." And I said, "Okay." And yeah, pretty fun. It's a pretty fun roller coaster.
Awesome. You love the idea of the king stepping down, though, to place the crown on Mr. Rosenberg here. I'm excited to see, because these are two separate books.
They're separate books.
And I feel these are not books that are always going to be interconnected. You have two separate tales with Al on this.
They are two separate books. They're always going to be, the way I've been describing it is, if you just want to read one, we're making you a complete book. You'll get everything you need to know in that book. You get 100% of the comic in that comic. We're never going to have a conclusion jump over to a different book you're not reading. We're never going to have you go to the next issue of a series and be like, what just happened? There's always going to be everything you need to know in that book. But so each book is 100% of a story. And then if you read both of them, it gives you 250% of story, because there's little threads. Is that how percentage works? Is that how story works? Definitely not. But that doesn't matter. The point is that there's little connections and bigger connections. Characters cross over. You'll see, if Spawn is in a fight in one issue, he may be recovering from that fight in King Spawn. If he kills someone in Spawn, in King Spawn, people may be saying, like, what happened to that guy? He disappeared. And in the regular King Spawn book, it may just be a mystery, like people disappear, but you'll get the answer you're looking for in the other book. And there's a lot of things like that. We're trying to make it so that it's a bigger, better version if you read all of it. But if you don't, that's fine. We're making cool comics no matter what.
I like it. Well, now to leave the big world of Spawn, there's a trade paperback I have to talk about for a purpose. So in our last few minutes with you,
yes,
we're taking everyone down with us. This was a phenomenal miniseries. It had an incredible trade paperback release back in December. Can you give everyone the pitch on that so I can lead into my real question?
Sure. We're taking everyone down with us is the story of Annalise, who is a 13-year-old, 12-year-old child. She is the daughter of the world's greatest supervillain. She lives on a secluded island with him while he works in a lab all day building robots and playing with monkeys and doing weird stuff. And one day, this universe's greatest super spy, our James Bond character, whose name is Alistair Rook, shows up on their island home and kills her father. And she is forced to go on the run with his robot protector, his robot bodyguard. And she now has to make the decision if she's going to go back to mainland and try and live a normal life for the first time and try and experience what it means to be a child and not live on an island by herself with a mad scientist, or if she wants to go get revenge on Alistair Rook, the man who ruined her family, killed her father, and ruined her life and made her an orphan. And so it's sort of a different take on the James Bond idea. It's from a villain's daughter's point of view, and it's a very dark comedy or a mildly funny spy story. You can decide if you read it. If you think it wasn't that funny, then it's a spy book, and if you thought it was really funny, then we also threw in some you get it. It's a comedy. We threw in a little bit of spy stuff for you. So yeah, that's the pitch. It's 6 issues, self-contained, right there. They're all oversized, so it's a very big book if you like having big books.
So I will say this has been one of my favorite things to hand sell over the past year. The trade
Thanks.
paperback is still available at Lunar Distribution. So if for any reason your store doesn't have it on the shelf, you can request that they order it. This is well worth reading and is such an amazing time. But my favorite part was at the very end of the final issue, you said it's not over. You gave us a hint that Rook is coming back.
Rook is coming back. Alistair Rook will return. Yes, we aren't talking dates, we aren't talking specifics, but we did give a title, which is In Good Hands with Bad Company, which is the follow-up to We're Taking Everyone Down with Us, in much the same way that James Bond returns, and you only live twice is you understand that and Casino Royale and whatever James, Moonraker. They don't all say James Bond Moonraker, but you get it. You understand it. We're doing that. So In Good Hands with Bad Company is our sequel. And it is a very fun. I wrote the first issue and I sent it to my editor, Steve Fox, who's edits all my stuff and is a great editor and a great writer on his own right. And I said, I feel like really good about this. I feel like it's the funniest issue. And he wrote back and he said, yeah, real dark. And I was like, what do you mean? And he said, definitely real dark. And I was like, but it's funny. It's funny. And he said, yeah, it's got some really good jokes. It's real dark, dude. And I was like, yeah, I guess it is. So it's an emotional roller coaster. I will say, because people are very literal in comics, we said Alistair Rook will return in Good Hands with Bad Company. And I think people thought that meant that other characters would not return. And I just want to emphasize that is not the case. That just because one character comes back does not mean other characters come back, including perhaps even you might see characters who died or you thought died. So yeah, there's some big twists coming. We have a lot planned. Stefano is drawing his butt off on this. It is the best thing he's ever done. It is gorgeous, and I'm very excited. And hopefully we'll be talking about that very soon.
Awesome. So all the more emphasis, if you, for any reason, have not picked up We're Taking Everyone Down with Us, while you're getting in that order for If Destruction Be Our Lot, get the trade, give this a read. There will be more. If you've already read it, give it a reread, because In Good Hands with Bad Company coming up later this year. Can we at least say later this year?
We can say whatever we want. Yeah, I think it'll be later this year. I don't see any reason why it won't, unless Image has too many awesome books coming out and we don't want to crowd anyone out or be crowded out ourselves. But production-wise, we'll be ready for later this year.
Yeah. Hopefully we still have Kyle. I was really hoping that slide was going to pop up. But
well, you could buy, if you want to see it, you can buy the trade. It's in the back of the trade.
There we go. Yeah. So I'm excited about that. So before we let you go,
there it is.
There it is. Awesome. Cool. So yeah, there it is. Sometime between the death of the sun.
Yeah.
So before we let you go, Matthew, for everyone who wants more, because everyone always wants more of you, where can they find you? How can they get to your Substack? All that fun.
ashcanpress.com. ASHCANPRESS.com is my website. We have a newsletter, which we don't send out too often, so it won't clog up your inbox and annoy you. And it's fun, I think. I think it's fun. People tell me it's fun. I like it. Okay. We do a podcast on there. We sell some shirts and stuff. Sometimes we do giveaways. So yeah, it's got all the news and everything you need to know. ashcanpress.com. I have social media, but it's terrible, and don't go there. I don't want to encourage people to be like, oh, I'm going to go on Instagram or Facebook. Like, don't do something else. Sign up for the newsletter and go outside and play with a dog. That's my advice.
I love it. All right. Well, on that note, I'm hoping you're going off to do something fun now.
No, definitely not. But I'm going off to do something.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Matthew. I cannot emphasize enough again. Get the incredible If Destruction Be Our Lot. Go pick up We're Taking Everyone Down with Us. And check out that Spawn title. Like it could be something someday. With Matthew writing it, it stands a chance.
Thanks so much, buddy. It's always good to see you and hang out. All right.
Thanks a lot.
Take care.
Cheers. All right. We still have more books to talk about, Kyle. Are you even ready for this?
Yes.
I hope you're okay, man.
No, we're good. It's I love Matthew Rosenberg. I love his writing. I love the way he approaches storytelling. And I could listen to him talk. So I'm actually questioning the wisdom of bringing my dumbass back on here and sending him away. So,
No,
that's actually what's happening here. Is I'm going, is this really the best content we could make, or should we have just kept him around? And
to be honest, we shouldn't even talk about any other book that releases this week. It should have just been Matthew's books, and we end the show done right now.
Well, there are a couple of books that are on FOC that are pretty important.
Including
my 2 prose books of the week, and
we're very close to them in the alphabet.
Yeah, a number of other things that may or may not be important to the success of your business and mine. So, we should probably talk about them, but I would rather hear Matt Rosenberg talk about them than me. So,
absolutely. But I mean, really quickly, because I'm loading something up in the background. Are you excited about Matthew's books? Like, which one, if you had to choose, which one are you going after first?
The problem with If Destruction Be Our Lot, and I will say this, is I don't like it when Matthew Rosenberg makes me feel my feelings. In that book, I definitely had an emotional response sitting at a picnic table at a brewery in LA during Comics Pro reading that book.
Yeah.
So, not excited to have an emotion. And I loved What's the Furthest Place from Here, and I loved We're Taking Everyone Down With Us. But that Todd guy may have a future in this business. And that Spawn book, man. Okay, listen. I listen to the internet. Your boy is so over Todd McFarlane, it's not even funny. Because I've been doing this a long time, and you can only meet somebody that famous so many times before you're like, okay, I get it. But then to see somebody that you've been following since really they broke into the business in Matthew Rosenberg get the shot to write such an iconic, important character. It's like when you see your friend meet their future husband or wife, or, you see your friend get their dream job, right? Like, this is seeing Rosenberg get Spawn is seeing the payoff of what has been an incredibly hard worker working very hard. And I think that is the most exciting part for me.
Yeah. I like it. It was well put. All right, now the hard transition. You ready to go back to PRH and continue all the books on FOC this Monday, April 13th?
I am, if I can click the right buttons. There we go.
All right. So speaking of dark comedies in the way of what's the we're taking everyone down with us, and in a way, if Destruction Be Our Lot, let's see the manga end of it in the way of Die Dark. Die Dark tells the world a sci-fi story where if you have the bones of this great evil leader, you could reshape the galaxy. Here's the problem, though. Those bones are still in a living body. So our protagonist is one of the most sought-after to-be-assassinated figures in the universe. And thank God he's not easy to kill. Die Dark is a really, really goofy one. Is a really, really goofy one. And this is the omnibus edition of this classic book coming out from Seven Seas. We're going to get 3 volumes in an oversized hardcover, those big new manga hardcovers everyone's been flipping out about. So love this. Nice, easy one. If somebody wants to try something different, I accidentally just killed a tab I didn't mean to kill. So I want to remind everyone, Daredevil, that hot new book by Stephanie Phillips and Lee Garbett, is getting a second printing if you missed out. And if you need more Daredevil fandom because Disney Plus isn't giving you enough, The omnibus of Marv Wolfman and Jim Shooter's pre-Frank Miller era is now on FOC. Let me see if I can reload this tab up twice. Why not? It's time for one of your pros picks of the week, Kyle.
Yes. So this week I have two. This would have been the pick if the other one wasn't on FOC. And because the other one has become a massive, like my entire personality, we're going to have to talk about it when we get to a little bit later here. But Dirty 20 is The Sopranos meets Dungeons and Dragons. This is the story of a kid who his family is in the waste management business. Somehow in Denver. I didn't know the mob was in Denver, but whatever. Anyway, he gets tasked with earning his way into the family business by laundering some money. And because, well, we live in a digital age, he decides to build a crowdfunding campaign for a RPG, a TTRPG. And the whole plan is that he'll make it crappy, and then he'll ghost fund it with this money he needs to launder. Makes a lot of sense. Until the thing goes viral and raises $650,000. Right. So now this kid is in this situation where if his dad finds out, it could potentially lead to two bad things. One, he actually has to make this TTRPG, and two, he has to spend time with his father. Who, you come to me on this, the day of my crowdfunding launch, and you ask me to do you this favor. This I cannot do. You know, like this. So you get this Tony Soprano character with this kid who really doesn't want to be in the family business, but is drawn into the family business because of opportunity and mistakes. And so the humor and the comedy that comes out of this is a very interesting kind of concept. And the reason I find myself drawn to this is my love of real play Dungeons and Dragons. So I could see the Dirty 20 universe becoming something like a Dimension 20 or a Critical Role or one of those, turning this into something that is actually a playable campaign with these actual characters and these actual stories. And so I think anytime you can make the mob funny, I think anytime you can make a realistic family scenario, especially with fathers and sons, which is a unique dynamic anyway, you're in for something good. And then the other part of this that I think is super relevant and important is it's published by Disney. It's Disney Publishing Group and Hyperion. So that also means that while it is for adults, it's not adult. It's Disney. So it's going to come with a level of quality that you only get from cartoon mice.
Mutant rats.
Yes.
No, absolutely brilliant. And the reason I want to emphasize always that Kyle gives us his pros pick of the week each week is this is something your comic shop might not traditionally carry. But as long as they're getting Marvel, IDW, Dark Horse, and the rest from Penguin Random House, it's a very easy click of a button for them to add this to their orders. So if you want these things, let your local comic shop know before Monday at Final Order Cutoff, and they can get it to you.
And if your LCS is using the new pull list features that they have at PRH, where you can add this to your pull list and your LCS automatically gets that, order. When you come over to do the show, when you come over to watch a show and you check these things out, you can start to build a pull list that your LCS is going to have much easier access to. But that's something that I know is still being worked out and is getting better all the time. So just a thought.
Yes, indeed. All right, continuing onward. We have a lot of great continuing series as always, but a new one that really should draw some attention is The Return of Doom. Yes, Ryan North, who is kicking butt with Fantastic Four, is bringing us Doom Quest, a new entry point for longtime fans or completely new followers to the great Latvian leader, Dr. Doom. Perfect, obviously, we have Avengers Doomsday coming out later this year. Everyone's really on a Doom kick. You can't go wrong with this. This is going to be a tale of Dr. Doom versus Reed Richards. It's really an exciting piece. And again, it's easy in a time period post Doom having ruled the world, one world under Doom. We get to return to the roots of Dr. Doom. It'll be a fun miniseries, 1.5 million covers, and a great way for people to be introduced to one of the best villains in the Marvel Universe. We have a lot of great continuing series. I always have to emphasize that, but we don't have the time to talk about everything. So one thing I want to talk about is for those of you who cannot get enough of K-pop Demon Hunters. I am certain there are several of you watching that have spent way too much money at McDonald's recently picking up those K-pop Demon Hunter adult Happy Meals, and you're chomping at the bit for some new content or new issue too. So the folks at Tokyo Pop found a completely not trademarked way of doing that with the K-pop fandom coloring book. It is a coloring book that is K-pop Demon Hunter adjacent. But as we're all fighting for new K-pop Demon Hunter content, officially licensed and trademark stuff takes a while to get approved. So here's a fun way you can enjoy some of that fun, and maybe your colors will match Hunter X and the Saja Boys designs. So a fun little one to put on everyone's radar, a very, very affordable coloring book at $11.99. Another great adjacent one, as everyone is in love with Blue Lock, everyone is getting ready for the World Cup. We have a new DK graphic novel called The League of Soccer Legends, which is going to reimagine some classic figures, everyone from Beckham to Pele to Messi. There are some of the most legendary figures in football/soccer out there, and we're going to get some crazy over-the-top superhero stories that kind of remind me of like the DC wild sports stories of the 50s and 60s. But this will be a fun, oversized hardcover. And if you're a big fan of football and have your favorite legends, they're likely going to appear in this in ways you wouldn't expect. And if you just love Blue Lock, if you are excited to get someone ready for the World Cup, but you don't know much, this will give you some of the context so you'll know the names that those refs are screaming and the announcers are chanting about throughout this year's Cup. So fun little one that I think is going to sneak under the radar for a lot of people. Then talking about classic manga again, I love the omnibus format that re-puts out these amazing manga that people might miss or presents them in a more affordable route. One of them is another Seven Seas piece, Let's Run an Inn on a Dungeon Island. This is a classic harem manga about a matriarchal-led world where women are the big badass fighters, pirates, thieves, everything, warlords, and more. And a young man who simply has been isekai'd from a traditional corporate job wakes up in this world and decides, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to create a hotel, an inn, for all these powerful women to work at. And you can only imagine in traditional mature manga form how that's going to work out for him. I really thought Kyle was going to come in with some kind of spicy comment. No hot take?
I'm just thinking that this is an HR nightmare.
Yes, yes.
Dear HR, we can't get off the island, and this guy won't leave us alone.
Well, it's harem-based, so I'm going to throw it out there. Much like Tenchi Muyo through Ron Mahaf and many, many others in its history, I feel this guy is going to be the one who really wishes he could just escape to some desert island.
Right, right. I mean, like the end of that joke is, how do we apply for overtime?
There it is. All right. One I know that you came back just in time to talk up, featuring one of your favorite writers, R.L. Stine's The Life and Death of Lucas Dreamwalker.
I'll be honest, more excited about the Francesca Francavilla art than I am about the story. I love Bob. I love R.L. Stine. Don't get me wrong. But if you take Francesco Francavilla and any horror writer, you're going to get something haunting and scary.
Absolutely.
And so to pair those two together from this with this book from Boom Studios, which I'll be honest, I haven't gotten to read the preview of yet. I haven't got really to dig into, even though I intend to later today. I'm big excited for. Again, this feels slightly Dick Tracy. It feels slightly Constantinian. It feels slightly like traditional R.L. Stine, but I don't know enough about this to really have my hair on fire for it yet.
So if anyone missed out on the incredible horror anthology Hello Darkness, which is your first mistake, I will say you should be grabbing that amazing book. This is the contents R.L. Stine provided in his run at Hello Darkness, added into a single issue. As they've been pulling the big books out and separating them, adding extra content and other fun stuff, a lot of great new covers. That will be The Life and Death of Lucas Dreamwalker, a man who is realizing you can truly die in your dreams, and the haunting horror that comes with that when you often can't control them. It is not your Goosebumps childlike R.L. Stine. This is a more mature R.L. Stine horror, and boom, the best place to bring it to you. Great covers, by the way, I gotta say. Look at that beauty right there. All right. For those of you guys who weren't forced to read Homer back in high school, but you're excited about the upcoming Odyssey film, why not dive into this classic Greek mythos with the Odyssey as a graphic novel? Gareth Hines is bringing us the classic Homerian tale of the Odyssey in sequential art form, and great for readers of all ages as it is a YA edition. I can't tell you how many people will probably one day use this book to circumvent reading the prose that is 1,000+ pages of the Odyssey. It will be the modern day Cliff Notes in a far better form, but this is exciting. I mean, the artwork on this, I think, looks truly good. I'm more excited for this graphic novel than I am the big film.
I don't know that we need a film of the Odyssey in 2026, but
yeah.
I do like the idea of a graphic novel.
Yeah. So you know what we do need? We need you to talk a little bit about the new book from Matt Dinniman.
Mongo is appalled. Everybody who's a Dungeon Crawler Carl fan has to do a push-up now. That's the joke. So this is book 8 of 10 in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. If you're not following Dungeon Crawler Carl, it's the story of a guy who basically winds up surviving the end of a world with his ex-girlfriend's cat, who, through a series of alien events, is now sentient and can talk and is hysterical. And their pet velociraptor. This is the premise of the beginning of the first book is coldest night of the year. Our main character, Carl, goes out, winds up having to go outside on the coldest night of the year to try to convince his ex-girlfriend's cat, who is a prize-winning show cat, to come inside after she jumps out into a tree. At the same time, aliens come back to harvest the Earth. And part of that is a reality show style program called Dungeon Crawler Earth, where essentially humans can try to survive the end of the world by going through an RPG, essentially. Entering an 18-level dungeon and surviving as long as possible, like any typical RPG. And so the Dungeon Crawler Carl series are Dungeon Crawler Carl's Carl and Donut, his cat's adventures. And the people they meet and the things they do. And it starts off hysterical, and it's always very funny. But it turns into this emotional roller coaster. And by the end of book 7, you are absolutely gutted. You're emotionally bereft. And the only hope you have is for a parade of horribles, which is book 8, which is this book. So much has happened, and there's so much to talk about in this. But a parade of horribles is the next chapter. It's book 8. And Matt Dinniman has been on tour talking about Operation Bounce House, which we talked about on the show, which was one of my prose novels. And he's been dropping hints about this book. And like galley copies have gone out to reviewers. And Jeff Hayes, who narrates the audiobooks, has been like dropping little tidbits. And so people are big excited because so much of the sort of loose ends through the first 7 books start to apparently get tied up in book 8. Now, here's what I will tell you. There are 2 more books after this one, but it's really only 1 book. But that 1 book was so long, they decided to split it into 2. And Matt Dinniman's own words were, and I get to be that asshole who leaves you hanging on a cliffhanger. Guess what? Book 8's a cliffhanger too. They're all cliffhangers. That's the point. So this is, again, coming off of the 9th floor, going into the 10th floor of the dungeon. Spoilers, I guess, if you haven't read the first 7 books. But, this is the continuing adventures of Carl and Donut. And I will say they're talking about the cat drives in this book, but it doesn't have thumbs. So we're going to have to figure out how that one works.
I love it. And one of the great things, if you're a retailer that doesn't already stock this is one of the hottest prose novels for geek culture right now coming out. 7 books already out. The 8th book is on FOC. You can get all of them through Penguin Random House. Well worth stocking in your store. And if you're a fan who either loves these books or wants to read these books, reach out to your local comic shop. If you don't have a mom and pop bookstore that you're getting from, why buy it from the big, mass market people who really don't care? They're the soulless corporations. Support local, support your local bookstores. And in this case, you can even support your local comic shop with your prose addiction, thanks to Penguin Random House. So either dive into Dungeon Crawler Carl or catch up on it and get this order for volume 8, A Parade of Horribles.
I absolutely want to co-sign what Mathias is saying about buy from your local comic shop, buy from your small independent booksellers. But I'm going to say this. They just announced a Books A Million exclusive book 1 of Dungeon Crawler Carl with sprayed edges that are skeletons. Buy them first and read them from this, and buy those later when they're on the clearance rack at the big box store so you can put them on your shelf.
I will say there is a sprayed edge edition that will be through PRH later this year. So maybe you don't have to get it from Books A Million. We'll see.
A different cover.
Different cover, different sprayed edges, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, I believe me. I did that research, Mathias, because I already ordered both.
Ah, there it is. And then that's always the tactic too, Support local and get the thing,
Right.
Yeah.
Buy it from your local shop so you can read it when it comes out, because those don't come out until a lot later.
All right. Brand new horror story and crime story. It's horror and crime coming from IDW called 7 Wives. And if you're asking, how does somebody have 7 wives? Well, maybe they're a member of a fundamentalist Church of the Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Yes, when the death of a man and leaves 7 living widows in a small compound in hidden Arizona, this is a Mormon murder story like you wouldn't expect. And while I love things like Big Love and the like, this not only draws my attention from the brilliant combo of Zoe Tunnel and V. Gagnon, I will never pronounce it right. It has some of the most amazing covers with Mirka and Dofo, Gagnon doing one, and then there is, Ratios by Wilson and Mercado. All of these look amazing and just draw me in further. But yeah, this just has like that Big Love vibe that I missed from, HBO 20 years ago. So brand new part of IDW Crime, their new genre-driven, line. This is, I think, the first one under IDW Crime too. So give it a shot. We got to wrap up Penguin Random House really quickly. So aside from saying that you're getting a reprint of the first appearance of Mephisto and Silver Surfer #3, both in foil and normal, we got to talk about the fact that Spider-Man Brand New Day will be coming out later this summer, and therefore Spectacular Spider-Man Brand New Day is a phenomenal 32-page reprint for $5 of classic Spider-Man Brand New Day stories from top creators. This is going to be a fun way to find out about things that could be appearing in the upcoming movie, including that first appearance in Negative Man. So all sorts of fun there. And we'll wrap Penguin Random House with another book from the wonderful folks at IDW. It's Zorro. But there's a twist. This is not Don Murrieta doing his traditional vigilante heroism in California. No, Howard Chaykin and Batman artist Jorge Fornes bring Zorro to war with one of the greatest threats of its time in Europe, Napoleon. Zorro versus Napoleon. Need we say more?
Zorro.
Yeah, I love it.
Because it's in French, you got to give the French pronunciation of Zorro. Of Zorro. Right. Zorro.
But yeah, absolutely amazing.
Soccer.
So really fun stuff there. But now we got to switch it over to Lunar, where we have some big books to talk about and a lot of variants. So I want to remind everyone, Lunar Distribution, scroll on down to upcoming FOC. Make sure you're on the right date. A lot of wonderful continuing series on this, a lot of absolute. We come 3/4 of the way through Adventures of Superman Book of L. There's an apocalyptic tale we'll talk about when we get to our top 10. But the big one is Assorted Crises Event. This is the book everyone is now talking about and no one can track down. The trade paperback, well in print, is selling out from stores left and right. I hear everyone restocking this because Scott Snyder himself said this was the best book of 2025. So if you want to read Dennis Camp's epic, now is your chance to get the single issues. 5th printing of number 1, 3rd printing of number 2, and 2nd printings of issues 3 through 7 to catch you all the way up through Assorted Crises Events, including that 2nd printing of issue 8 that's already on stands. You can finally read the book everyone's talking about with beautiful brand new covers. No reason not to go after this. Then, aside from a bunch of incredible continuing series, more fun than ever with Batman as all of a sudden Mayor Poison Ivy and Commissioner Savage or Vandal Savage are going after the Bat family. That's going to be epic. The big one for anyone probably in their 20s right now is going to be Ben 10, that hot Cartoon Network animated series by the boys at Man in Action is back, relaunching with a slightly more mature, all ages young adult approach at Ben 10. And didn't you have some really amazing, because there's a lot of great covers on Ben 10. Let me tell you, a lot of great covers. I'm really excited. I would have loved to have Joe Casey on the show, but I really wanted to talk to Matthew. But I had to make an exception because in all these great covers, Kyle, didn't you have some news?
Yeah, here's some news from me in the past. It's official. Everything is live. In the comments is the link where you can go and get in on our exclusive drop. So a very extremely small, so small that I could actually do the math number of our print run is available right now on the explive.com. We have all 4 of the covers, which we can show.
So, you can grab any of these amazing, and there's quite a few covers of Ben 10 from your local comic shop. Reach out, tell them you want it. But if you want the highly collectible one and you want to support us here on the EXP, we got to support my producers, like Kyle, Jay, and the team all need that support. You can get an amazing ultra rare variant of Ben 10 by watching any of the incredible EXP sales shows later this month or clicking on the link that I believe is now in the comments. Is that correct?
Yeah. And by the way, we're almost sold out of the bundle that will get you all 4. So don't wait. I get that people may be waiting for payday, but don't. Max out your credit card, whatever you got to do, because once those are sold out, they're gone. There will never be another bundle available of our cover.
Yeah. But that being said, a lot of great covers you can order from your local comic shop as well. Because, dude, I hate to say I wasn't even, really watching cartoons when Ben 10 came out. I discovered it when my son reached an age where he was watching old episodes streaming. I love Ben 10. This is awesome. I think it's exciting. My son is going to be excited. And I think there's a lot of people who grew up on Ben 10 who are adults now, and they will be excited to not only enjoy it themselves in a return to this, from one of the creators themselves, Joe Casey, the guy who helped create Ben 10, to their children. This is going to be a hot book.
Well, and if you're one of those people who are still a little salty that they canceled Teen Titans to make more Ben 10, give this Ben 10 a chance because it's different. It's a little older. It's a little more closer to Ben 10 could have been a Teen Titan. So maybe check that out.
All right. We talked with the incredible editor of this book a few weeks ago. Joe Pruitt is editing the Book of Jusko, which has all of that amazing classic artwork of Joe Jusko in a very affordable trade paperback. The hardcover was a triple figure book. You can get the trade for $50. All good, fun stuff, because who doesn't love Joe Jusko? All right. Another big one. Last week, unfortunately, we did not have a show. I had to take a much-needed vacation, but there was a wonderful FOC I hope you all paid attention to get reprints of DC X Sonic, that miniseries that has sold out everywhere through multiple printings upon multiple printings. It is back with a sequel. We're getting DC X Sonic the Hedgehog, The Metal Legion, a new 5-issue miniseries bringing back the team, and you get all of your favorite Sonic furballs with DC powers. This is going to be exciting. Perfectly timed to follow up the trade paperback, the reprints, and even more with some stunning covers. They really leaned into it and realized how much everyone loves these Sonic variants. There are some great ones there. And if you missed it earlier, there's even a Batman cover that's going to start a theme of Sonic variants that we'll talk about in our top 10. Loving that. Not to mention, we get to the final part of Batman Year 2. That awesome Todd McFarlane era run of Batman in Detective Comics. A stunning tale of war in Dog Tag. Dog Tag is a new 6-issue mini by Mark Russell about a fictitious figure in a real-life war. You're going to get a story that is a mash of real tales from World War II in the final years of the big war. This, I think, is going to be very interesting. Mark, always an impressive writer who knows how to pull at the heartstrings. I expect this to be an amazing one in an era where we surprisingly don't have a lot of war comics. This one touches the war that is I hate to say, the safest, I feel, war of black and white, good versus evil. And it's going to look at some of the gray tones in it.
This is really good. I read it already.
Oh, you like it? Awesome.
Oh, yeah, it was really good.
All right. One I always have to point out because you never know, unless you talk to your store, how Free Comic Book Day is going to go, which is always a reason to talk to your store about how they're going to do Free Comic Book Day. But the Free Comic Book Day from Skybound this year is going to be Energon Universe. And if you would like a fancier version, if you would like a different cover with your version, say you'd like to really emphasize the brand new Mask series, Energon Universe Special 2026 is the way to go. Every year, Skybound has taken their Free Comic Book Day offering of the Energon Universe and made it a purchasable item so you can support your store. And thanks for all the money they throw at Free Comic Book Day and get a high-quality version with a hot new cover. Some of these Energon Universe specials in the past few years have really gone up in the aftermarket. So even more valuable than getting that free Comic Book Day one. And look at these amazing, amazing covers. Definitely worth considering if you're a big Energon Universe fan. All right.
Hey, did you read Estuary #1 this week?
I actually have it in my to-be-read pile in the other room right now. Did you get a chance to read it?
It was trippy. It was psychedelic horror meets like watercolor, like almost ethereal dreamscapes. Really here's what I'm going to say. Really an interesting horror book. It's unlike anything I think I've ever read. So I would be interested to hear what Mathias thinks. Again, like I think it's maybe for the first time in a long time a horror concept I haven't seen before.
That's awesome. Well, I always trust Tim Daniel and DB Andry. It's one of the reasons I picked it up to read. They have always knocked it out of the park from their work together at Vault and now at Oni. I'm happy that they're still working together. This is getting a second printing if you missed out on it on this week's FOC, as well as issue number 2. I will say my favorite story, though, on Wednesday in my shop, somebody came in, flipped through. I think they flipped to 2 pages and just said, no, I'm buying this. Closed it, walked up, rung it up. It was like the weirdest way I've ever seen someone just pick up a book, but I'm like, that was an odd note. I'm kind of looking forward to giving this a read. So I'm hoping that the week calms down so I can read it.
It was, again, I'm interested to see what your thoughts are on it. It was strange, like in a good way.
All right. If you didn't grab Dan Abnett's new Flash Gordon with issue 15 this week, it was awesome. Grab it, then order issue 16 before Monday. And then, as a huge fan of Red Sonja, I get to have 2 moments today. First off, Frank Thorne, one of the brilliant writers and artists behind some of my favorite Red Sonja tales at Marvel, is bringing a classic character back posthumously. Frank Thorne's Lawn was epic, mature sci-fi. If you know Frank Thorne, he draws some sexy women. He draws some amazing storytelling. And this is going to be a classic version, updated from Hermes Press, a hardcover. If you want some out there Frank Thorne sci-fi, this is going to be it. So really, really cool. This is a limited edition hardcover. I'm all in on this, but it's a pricey one. So let your comic shop know if you want to grab it. All right. Then, If Destruction Be Our Lot. We talked a lot with Matthew about this. I just want to point it out again. Hit stands May 6th, the Wednesday after Free Comic Book Day. You're not going to want to miss it. It is an incredible read. I mean, literally, Kyle had the opportunity to be drinking, eating, and talking with big people in comics, and instead he was reading this book at a picnic table.
Greg was there. He's in the comments now. Greg was there. He knows I wasn't paying attention. I was reading this book. Anyway, thanks for joining us, bro.
Yeah. Oh, man, we talked up some great Boom stuff, Greg. You know, we talked about that amazing R.L. Stine book being ripped from the pages of Hello Darkness. So, you got to watch all of it. But yes, no, I agree. Robot Lincoln is amazing. The one question I didn't get to ask Matthew is this land or world Robot Lincoln? Kyle's going to think on that.
No, I'm trying to debate if we have time for an interesting Lincoln story.
I think we're a little tight on time today. But one of the cool things I do want to talk about is the timeless heroes of the golden age of DC, the Justice Society of America. We just wrapped up year 1 for them, and now we begin the hunt for Spectre. JSA Spectre stories are some of my favorite things. I mean, Spectre stories in general in the DC, I always love, whether it was Jim Corrigan or Hal Jordan or any in between. Now we're going to have the Spectre back in full force, written by Jeff Lemire. That is going to keep me on JSA.
Well, and the art, I don't know how to say Diego's last name, but the art on that book really is the thing that has me most intrigued, right? Like, I know Jeff Lemire is going to write Killer Spectre. I just do. But you've got this artist whose style tends to lend itself to that golden age style as well. So it'd be very cool to see how that plays in this book.
Indeed. All right. Talk about big names on a book. Does it get bigger than Sophia Banks or Dawn Hanfield? 2 major people in Hollywood, film, cinema in general. I mean, Sophia is behind so many award-winning films and shorts. Don has acted in countless things. He worked with what's his name, Arrow or Hawkeye, Jeremy Renner, to develop their own film studios. Yeah. And now they're working together on a brand new comic, Kill Switch, which has an interesting concept of a world where technology is so great that death alone does not stop you. You can hack the bodies of the living, and even after death, still be among us. As a master thief dies from jumping off a building in the year 2067 in a very die-hard kind of way, he finds himself in the body of a police officer that was in a coma and brings her to life, hacking his way through the opportunities her body can give him. This is an insane sounding story that really is the darker sci-fi I fear we might one day live in. But in the same, yeah, like I'd go watch this in a film. Of course, I'm going to read this in a comic. So big one from AMP Comics coming out soon. Gabriel Ibarra doing the artwork. So take a look at that. I love it. Sorry, this is the cover. I want to show off. This is what the interiors are going to look like. Gabriel Ibarra doing the cover right there too. Then Lady Mechanica is back. Joe Benitez's classic steampunk character is back with a brand new steampunk writer, Madeline Hawley Rosing, who some of you might know as the woman behind the Boston Metaphysical Society. She has always brought some of the greatest comics to artist alleys that I love to enjoy. I believe they brought her books into stores through Source Point Press. Now she is handling Lady Mechanica on this new 4-issue miniseries, The Mechanical Menagerie. Still going to have the great artwork of Joe Benitez and Martin Montiel with stunning colors from Sabine Rich. This will be fun.
That, can I be honest? That's the thing I'm most excited about. Adding Sabine Rich's sensibilities to the already incredible art that comes with this book. Like, the colors on this are going to be next level, even for Lady Mechanica.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know for a fact if Beth Sotelo... No, yeah, Beth is not doing the coloring, so this is going to have Sabine throughout it. This is going to be very, very beautiful. I mean, I love Beth's colors too, amazingly.
Oh, absolutely. But this is the first time that Beth hasn't done any of the book. So, like I said, I'm very excited to see Sabine have the whole book to see how that goes. It's just going to be beautiful, I'm sure.
Well, and I adore Marcia Chen's writing like nobody else, but obviously Holly Rosing has been doing an amazing job with Boston Metaphysical Society. I've always enjoyed those comics. So getting her take on an alternate steampunk series set in a far more fantastic world like Lady Mechanica, I'm really intrigued. I mean, this will be a steampunk fan's absolute dream.
Absolutely.
Steamy dream. All right, Mark Spears Monsters. I just want to show off. This is always a great book, but man, these covers this week. Look at the ASM 300 homage, this steamy, bloody and beauty cover right there. Definitely worth paying attention to. Get your orders in because everyone always sells out. Much like Nectar, the hot new Vault book, third printing of issue #1 of Nectar with a sexy new cover by Chris Sheehan. You get a new Wayshack ratio. Talk to your store to see if they're getting. And second printings of #2 with a new Suspiria black bag. So if for any reason you missed out on Nectar, there's no reason now. Get caught up with with the #1 and #2 new printings. Also, big book in the way of Nightwing by Tom Taylor, Omnibus Volume 2. If you never read this, you're just doing yourself a disjustice. I own all the single issues, all the trades, and now I'm going to buy the Omnibuy again. All right, let's talk about something big. We've already had Sienna from Bad Idea on this show twice talking up Megalith. I didn't want to bother her a third time, but Megalith, the Olympus Saga, is finally on FOC. Years in the making. Matt Kint and Louis LaRosa originally were working on this at the first incantation of Bad Idea years ago. It's finally happening. the tale of when a giant monolith slams down into modern day Baltimore and continues to grow, only to produce the world's largest mech to fight the world's largest kaiju. If you thought Godzilla standing a little bit above a skyscraper was big, let me tell you, these things make the clouds look low to earth. So,
well, listen, if you've seen the Baltimore Inner Harbor recently, you can understand why they would be so big. The amount of mutation would be insane. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, look at how big these are. A ton of covers, literally well over 30 covers, because there are 30 original art covers that use original art from the book as covers on this. So you can get an idea what the interiors of this look like, this amazing Louis LaRosa artwork, and the epic scale of these giant kaiju and mechs. Like, you can see the skyscrapers here of Baltimore, and then how big these things are. This is going to be the biggest battle that any kaiju or mech fan could ever dream of. And I mean, I love that they have interior artwork covers. May not be for everyone, but you can at least get an idea of what the book is going to look like in this. It's going to be a 4-issue miniseries. Like I said, 1.5 million covers. They even pulled classic. We get to say Napoleon twice in this live stream. That's weird. We even get to see classic Napoleonic artwork there. Because Bad Idea finally realized that legally they can do this. Some great ratio variants. There's even one with actual meteorite on it. So that's going to be a very, very expensive book, because I imagine you can fathom meteorite, this piece of space from likely billions of years history is not going to be cheap. And this is a 1 in 250 variant. But talk to your comic shop. Maybe they go. In fact, I can argue multiple stores that are part of the EXP are doing exclusive variants. So there might be an opportunity for fans, if you can't get it from your local comic shop, to reach out to the EXP about getting a meteorite-laced comic. But one way or another, go good.
A lot of our friends are going heavy on this book, are really in for this. And based on what we've seen and the ash cans and PDFs you've been able to read, they're right to do so. This book is going to be unique and incredibly interesting, and it really is a work of like passion project for these guys. So they're putting a lot into it, and you could see they're putting a lot into it, but the payoff is going to be astronomical, I think. So definitely want to get in on Megalith #1.
Yeah, absolutely. I will less than subtly admit I am doing an exclusive on it because I have such high faith in this book. It is amazing looking. But reach out to your local comic shop. Definitely order this book. Get it on your FOC. It is going to be awesome. Ton of variants, ton of covers. It's the theme of the week, realistically, but well worth doing. Very briefly, I want to mention Pandola. I think Kung Chi Kit has something really, really cool here, and I am really happy that Mad Cave is bringing this classic tale. I also have to give another shout out to a Hermes book in the way of the Phantom. I always love the Phantom, and you're going to get the Cy Berry, Lee Falk years. It is the best of. You're going to get a bunch of complete stories in there. Highly recommend that as well. But the next big one for me is the learn to the She-Devil with the Sword, the Red Warrior, Red Sonja. Rory McConville, obviously not doing Spawn anymore now that Matthew Rosenberg is taking over, is going to be bringing his incredible Irish writing style to Red Sonja, and I could not be more hyped. Pablo Debonis doing artwork. We have 1 million amazing covers because, it's Dynamite. They love doing 1 million amazing covers. And we get a brand new launch of Red Sonja for people to jump on and enjoy the She-Devil with a Sword. All sorts of fun there. Lots of covers, too. Now, you were talking about RPGs that people can really dive into and have fun with Dirty 20. This is my lunar RPG here. Roleplay, Fight or Fright. Now, sometimes I love diving into big universe. Homebrewed campaigns, countless hours and effort put into every character design, plot, and world. But sometimes it's fun to just open up a book and play. This is that book. For $27, you have access to 32 playable scenarios you and your friends can play up to 6 players, and all you need is a 6-sided die. And it's going to pit you against some of the greatest horror characters in history, from Dracula to Jack the Ripper, Mothman, through other iconic monsters. This is a book that you just open up and instantly go into role-playing with your friends as you guys fight through these classic horror pieces. King Tut's Curse, a Chupacabra, and more. All fun, simple one-shots, and this is easy. Open it, dive in, and start playing RPG. Could not be easier, could not be more fun. If you have a hard time getting everything set up, getting everyone together, this is the quick, hey guys, anybody want to do an RPG really quick? Somebody grab a 6-sided dice, let's play. That simple. So role play, fight or fright, the trade paperback on FOC this week. All right. Another big one, because we've been talking about Spawn a lot. She Spawn. Gail Simone comes to the McFarlane Spawn universe with a brand new 5-issue miniseries with the incredible Ig Guara. You can see Ig's cover right there, but it is far from the only cover. Again, the theme of the month or of the week is covers. Matina, Brett Booth, Mirka Andolfo, Emma Rios, and even Todd McFarlane himself. I want to remind everyone that's going to be a big ratio variant. Talk to your store to see if they're going to get it and how much it's going to cost, because there's even signed and double signed edition variants. But man, I love me some sheep. And Gail Simone is definitely the figure I would have never in my life guessed would be writing it, but I cannot wait to see writing it. That, along with our big Spawn 378.5 after Malebolgia came back last issue. How is Todd going to wrap up his big storyline and prepare everything for the pass off to Matthew Rosenberg, who has a 5-page backup in this? Big moment, iconic number issue. Stunning cover by the incredible Harvey Tolabau. I always love Harvey. So shout out there. And then another really quick shout out. Skull Kickers, if you like big RPG, epic fun, Dungeons and Dragons style, this is Jim Zub, one of the contributing guys to Dungeons and Dragons, giving you so much fun. $50, you get 3 big deal editions with a fancy slipcase of the new compact Skull Kickers. So, you know, they're pocket-sized books with a fancy shelf-sized holder. Whew, a lot we got to talk about this week. A lot of continuing ones. Another one, Gary Dugan and Matteo Loli, the people who brought you some of the best Deadpool in recent years, bring you a one-shot of Guy Gardner at a time where he needs it. After his big cinematic debut in the Superman movie, we get the Tales of Green Lantern Corps, Guy Gardner, a one-shot of insanity with Guy, the warrior himself, and some of the greatest challengers to his craziness, the Manhunter androids, space apes, the Guardians of the Galaxy themselves, and even fellow Green Lantern John Stewart. I mean, need we say more? Guy Gardner fun. I love it. Have some great Transformers reprints, but if we're talking about big, great reprints, this is one I am excited about. The Untamed, A Sinner's Prayer is an amazing story by my friends Sebastian Jones and Peter Bergting. They have a brand new animated series on the way. It is being put together in South Africa by a full South African animation studio, and it is part of the greater Tales and Legends of Asunda. Sebastian and his friends started this out as a Pathfinder game in their youth and have turned it into an unbelievable empire of comics with amazing characters like Dura, Niobe. I mean, you get the brilliant Tales of Asunda series. There have been multiple Tales of the Stranger in the Untamed, and this is the book that started it all. Finally getting a new printing that you can get at your local comic shop. If you want to read something epic with an Afrocentric world of fantasy as opposed to the traditional Eurocentric, this is going to blow your mind. When a key figure is killed, his family laid waste, and the devil gives him an offer to go back to Earth and get vengeance, he need not hear what the rules were. He chooses, sign me up, I'm in. This is a dark, massive fantasy, part of an epic universe, and it all starts here. You do not want to miss this. Get the Untamed, A Sinner's Prayer. And if you're a retailer, I want to point out there is a great Asunda package you can get that can get you some extra copies of this amazing Batman ratio variant. So you're going to want to get those and stock up, because when that animation hits, anyone who's ever had the pleasure of seeing the Stranger Comics booth at any comic convention knows that they are passionate people, both administrative, sales, and creators behind these books. You do not want to skip out on something that you can literally just hand to any customer in your store, and within seconds, they're like, I want to buy this and everything else related to it. Get on board with Stranger Comics, and particularly Untamed, A Sinner's Prayer, new printing right there, not to sleep on. Get it. All right. I think it is time that we get to our top 10. So we are running late. Let's rush through it. So our recommendation of honorable mention is The Apocalyptic Horseplay hardcover by Elliot Boardman. Elliot Boardman did a very popular webcomic series, and now he gets a brand new one where the horsemen of the apocalypse have changed their lives and are trying not to be the figures that they were once. It's going to be goofy. It's going to be fun. It feels very slave labor graphics from the incredible people at Rocket Ship. I am all in on this, and I think it's worth paying attention to. Then, in our top 10, Chip Zdarsky, the writer of the comic, brings us an amazing cover of Captain America number 11 with No One Wins the Last War, and a great homage to a classic piece featuring George Washington. Number 9, it is the first of the new theme of DC Sonic crossover variants. This one on Batman 9, as we go to war with the Bat family. No better way than to include a Bat member of our Shadow Batman with a stunning artwork of Mirka Andolfo. Then we get to Alex Ross Doom Quest. I don't think I need to say anything anymore. It's Alex Ross. It's Doom. Doom Quest number 1. Get it. DC X Sonic gets to be on here twice. This one with the brand new number 1. Think about how many printings the original DC X Sonic number 1 went to. I want to say it's like 6 or 7. You need this book. Get the first printing, and I really recommend the Min-Ho Kim cover, which has all of our Sonic characters in their DC costumes. Number 6, Ben 10. Look, there's an incredible exclusive cover you can get through the EXP, and a bevy of amazing covers you can order from your local comic shop. But if you're going to order one from your local comic shop, I recommend Duncan Rouleau's awesome cover. He's one of the man-in-actions that helped put together the cartoon originally, and therefore a great cover artist for this new relaunch. Zorro, Rodrigo Yoshimiya, amazing artist, does a lot of great stuff. You should follow Yoshimiya on social media. Bring us a great cover on Zorro with Howard Chaykin and Jorge Fornes. Bring us Zorro versus Napoleon. Got to get it. Mirka Andolfo doubling up. We get a lot of double ups on this top 10, doing a stunningly beautiful cover of She Spawn under the new Gail Simone run. That's where I'm going with this purchase. And then The Untamed, A Sinner's Prayer. Just always get it. Anything Stranger Comics, Sebastian Jones, you will never regret it. Absolutely amazing comic. Go buy it. Even if you already own it, repurchase it, reread it, stock it in your comic shop. This is awesome. Megalith, The Olympus Saga number 1, another big one. A lot of my fellow retailers are supporting, and we hope that you as consumers give it a shot, because this is big in both an epic literal sense and a metaphorical sense. This is a story we've been waiting years to release, and it is finally here. Then my number 1, a epic tale of emotion and robots, if destruction be our lot. Abraham Lincoln, robot Abraham Lincoln, that is, makes us all think about what humanity is. Both the Rosenbergs and the incredible Andy McDonald pulling together a stunning book that I hope shoots for the moon, as it is an ongoing. You want to get in early, get that big number one. Keep in mind, Matthew's had a lot of books already picked up. I mean, 4 Kids Walk Into a Bank is currently done filming. So this could be the next big thing. One way or another, it is going to be an unbelievable read and an amazing comic. So if destruction be our lot, grab that stunning Jerome open cover. That's my number one pick. But Kyle, tell me, what do we have coming up on the EXP? And I think we have somebody else who wanted to talk too, right?
Well, we have Nick at 7, Nancy at 9, and then next week is everything normal. But here is a message from Miss Jen.
Hey everybody, it's Miss Jen. I'm super excited because we've got our own exclusive cover. The very first time we've ever done such a crazy thing. And it's got cute doggos on it and a cute kitty. And it's got amazing work by Jay Fosgett. And if you want to help support this awesome channel and all the cool things we do and all the fun that we have, just buy a copy, pretty please. Grab one up, just use this QR code. It's so easy. Bye, y'all.
Remember, guys, we're almost sold out of the bundle, so you got to get in on those while the getting's good, because they're not going to exist after this pre-launch time. And remember, this is an extremely limited drop. Once release day comes May 6th, these will only be available through the EXP live shows, live sales shows, so you're going to have to get them there if you don't pre-order them. And once we go to the live shows, I can't guarantee every show is going to have every cover, so you need to pre-order now.
All right, and with that, I want to remind everyone that buying that also supports the EXP, this channel you're watching right now. So always worth considering. But while you're doing that, don't forget to get all of your orders to your local comic shop. You know, we can offer the exclusive. It's not something we always get an opportunity to, but you still want to support your local comic shop at every chance you get. So get your orders to them so you don't miss out on any of these amazing comics that are coming out this next month and are on FOC this Monday. So get your orders in before Monday, April 13th to your local comic shop. The sooner the better. And we'll be back next Friday with even more books on FOC for next week.